Back in 1983, the world's first fully animated Laserdisc video game was created. It was a revolutionary game for its time and arguably the first interactive cartoon. It was called Dragon's Lair.
I am here with Don Bluth and Gary Goldman, and we are talking about Dragon's Lair. When did you guys first create Dragon's Lair?
It started when Rick Dyer came to us in October of 1982.
Our careers had just taken, a big rest because we'd just done The Secret of NIMH. Somehow, with The Secret of NIMH, it didn't quite gel quite right, and so we were looking around. That's when Rick Dyer came to the studio and said, I've got a story about this little knight. And this little knight goes out and does incredible things, and he's quite inept. So we started playing around with this, and we had no idea where the game was going to go. And the thing that I got off on at the time, I remember, was all the times that you fail to play the game correctly, and maybe you have to die. So how can we make this little knight die in such a way that you laugh at it?
Now, Rick, what made you want to contact Don and Gary for doing the animation for your idea?
We were working on this concept, and the working name was Dragon's Lair. We were developing handheld games at the time. We were developing arcade games. And my wife and I went to see this film called The Secret of NIMH. I said, that is who I want to do Dragon's Lair. I did some detective work and actually got a phone number. And when I called, Don actually answered the phone.
This was a successful game. How much money did this thing make initially?
It was beyond our wildest dreams. We went to the coin-op show, and at the end of the show, we got $10 million in orders.
Then when it went to the arcades, it is said that over the run that it had, that it did over $100 million in quarters worldwide.
In quarters?
In quarters.
Now, the first time you guys saw people playing this stuff in the arcade, what was your reaction?
The first realization of what it might be, what this game meant to the audience, was a trip that we took to Colorado. We went to Denver for the opening of the game. Yeah. It was what was the largest arcade in the United States. It took us back into the center where all the games were, and right in the middle were two Dragon's Lair games. About 25 people crowded around, standing on chairs around in a line of at least 100 people. What we did was gone around behind the game to watch the reactions of this audience that was watching people try to play the game and watch them laugh when they died.
I think Dragon's Lair is popular because it zeroes in on a character. I think it all springs off of one platform, and that platform is the same thing that story writers are involved with. Describe to me a personality or story that I can hook into, that I identify with, and you got me. There's something wonderful about those words, once upon a time.
Last time we did a story on the creation of the original Laserdisc video game, Dragon's Lair. Today we want to take you inside the creation of the modern-day update, Dragon's Lair 3D.
Let me ask you about the new Dragon's Lair. Tell me about Dragon's Lair 3D.
The first game was very linear, and you just simply, followed a piece of film. This one is not. The little knight Dirk, although he looks like a cartoon, he's very three-dimensional, and you can move around him, and you control his movements.
Is it following the same story as before?
There is a lot of the old characters that used to, the Giddy Goons and all those characters, they're in there. The storyline is new and different, and that I don't want to give away, but it's there, and more than one dragon this time.
Is it going to be for CD-ROM on the PC and Mac, or home consoles like PlayStation 2, Xbox?
We're going to stay on the PC and Macintosh platforms, the first ones we're targeting right now. And then we're going from there to the PlayStation 2. We're looking at the Xbox and producing that, and also the GameCube.
Now, does Don and Gary actually sit down and work with the team? Explain the interaction between them and the team.
They'll come out here and sit down with the designers or with the artists, especially with our proprietary toon shader, which gives the black outlines and the cartoon look to our characters. And Don and Gary worked with us on getting all those things right. They've been an amazing resource to work with the company, and probably why the game looks as good as it does today.
Now, Rick, are the things you do in the game kind of like, the old puzzles, or is it totally new stuff?
It's the real castle, and you get to explore all the places, deal with all the traps that you never saw. So spread throughout the castle, there's over 200 rooms. There were 28 original rooms, so we're 10 times the size of the castle. But the point is, as you go through the castle, it's a giant death trap for Dirk. It was, of course, created that way by the evil Black Wizard. You never actually see the evil Black Wizard or what he represents in the original Dragon's Lair. He's only mentioned and alluded to. So in the 3D version, that Black Wizard becomes real.
A lot of people out there may not know everything you've worked on. Take me through, like, the timeline of your careers.
We worked on Robin Hood, Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2, The Rescuers, and the movie Pete's Dragon.
And then we made a movie called The Secret of Nim. And then, of course, An American Tale. The last film we made was Titan AE.
It's like the first time I was able to see Dirk the Daring, like, in 3D, and he swishes his swords. I mean, to me, that's like the coolest thing.
Everything about what he does is entertaining and funny to watch. So,
Big floppy feet.
Yeah. The first time we saw the first walk cycle, I laughed immediately because I just thought they'd captured his personality in that walk.
The one that I'm concerned about is Daphne, of course, because, you know, she's the one that I guarded the most carefully. You know, will Daphne look right? And I got a few peeks at it this morning, and I thought, yeah, it looks pretty darn cool.